it here. We don't have to do this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Talk TV. I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we are providing information to humanity to bring awareness. And so, thank you all for being here. Our topic today is an update on energies with Rick Jewers. Hey, Rick.
Hey, everyone. And hey, Linda. Again, thank you for being here and thank the whole community that we are. We're growing bigger and we're doing it bit by bit. So it's awesome. I love everyone, love you. And yeah, we're doing it.
Yes, and so just to let everybody know, we are on a new, Zoom is, we've done a show on Zoom, but this platform that we're using now has translation in 5 languages: English, Arabic, Chinese Simplified, Hindi, and Russian. So we are trying this new platform, and we will take the questions and answers at the end. So since I can't see everybody, as you come on and I do see you, I will stop the video because we're trying to keep all video completely blank and muted. And at the end, when we do the question and answer, I will actually see the chat and see your question. But if you guys could do one question at a time, because so I can see, and then I'll unmute you on the participants thing so Rick can actually chat with you and be able to ask you other questions on top of your question, if that makes sense. So if you guys have any other questions, just put it in there really quick and I'll see if we'll answer that, and then we're just going to roll on with the show. And so we hope you guys like this platform with all the different languages. We're just going to try this out and see how it works. So it's exciting. New stuff, new toys.
Yeah. And feedback later, I suggest,
Yes.
from all viewers, anything that you had problems with, would look at that later at the end of the show and, somehow get in touch with Linda or so and see how we can make things better. But the main thing is now that the show must go on. And I thought about it again, Linda, that, we knew this time would come that, let's say, the Christ, which is us, the Christ collective consciousness, will be able to speak in all tongues. So, if that means anything to anyone, I know it means a lot to us all. But hey, here we are. It was said that we would bridge language gaps, when the time was right, and here we are doing it. And so it's awesome. So it's exciting to be a part of this as well. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And when you guys go on YouTube, it will be in your language. So I will always upload all these interviews I do with Rick on YouTube. And I think you said, Rick, somebody else is uploading them as well. So, but I do have auto translate. So if you're in another country, you can just hit your whatever language you have, and it'll be translated in that. But just for this platform, we're only doing 5, those different 5 languages. So, all right, let's party, let's rock and roll, and let's move on to the energies. So, you said there's been a lot of energies that have been happening that have come up really recent. So can we talk about what's the first thing you kind of notice? Because I know we're going to talk about the current global condition, stock markets, and the ascension symptoms. So, but let's talk about what really prompted you to want to do this show.
Well, overall, Linda, and with the rest of the collective, everyone's seeing that there's so much energetically happening at this time, and that everything is being affected at a much larger scale, a more noticeable scale, and with everything, also happening on the global scene upon the planet with protests and all of this, it's all connected. So we have, it's this show tonight is to perhaps be all inclusive currently on what is energetically transpiring. Perhaps may not be all inclusive because of the complexity and the quantity of so many things that are concurrently happening. But to put it all in a box for a minute, yeah, we can see it's very active in good ways, and it's all divine. So, you know, I was wondering earlier, where do we even begin with it?
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah. Where would we begin with that? I mean, do you feel like
well,
there was something that transitioned?
yeah, well, the first thing I would say, the way we'll begin this show with is, if I may, is say that, you know, everyone keep calm, keep neutral, watch everything that is playing out around you, but also with your own energetic fields. You are feeling negative energies. At times, you are feeling sickness. Being nauseated is a common one at this time. These are all things that there's nothing wrong with you physically. These are all things to do with the energies. And what we currently have upon the surface is we have so many groups that are assigned different divine tasks in doing things. For example, some are transmuting for the collective. Others are on an individual basis of very rapidly and quickly working with their own stuff to get them powered up higher. Then, you know, with this happening, then you have the global overall pressure as well that is quickly, it's creating the great change because the negativity, what needs to be there, is being forced back onto what is negative and dark, and it's condensing it. And as a result, there are many symptoms just rising from that, symptoms to the overall energetic fields and also individually. So it's very complex what is currently happening, but it is also, as a collective and a network, we are doing this and strengthening the networks, the Christ collective consciousness, all of this. It's what you are currently seeing is that it's affecting so much at once now because we have become that much bigger. We are growing constantly with this huge energetic compatible field that is putting pressure on the outside of anything that is not of divinity, anything dark, anything negative is being pressured. So it's all part of a huge process that is happening, that is the transition. So this is what you're currently witnessing. And you know, you could have aches and pains, all kinds of symptoms with this coming out of nowhere, but they are a result of the energies, because again, the energies here, we are not destroying them. Rather, we are transitioning the negatives into the positive to allow the whole of Gaia to rise and sit into the 5D timeline void of all of these negative things, or most of them, you know, and we keep transitioning upward. So it's a huge process, and it's much more intense now, the overall process, than it was before. So you may have some of the angels, you know, some of the Christ collective having very high vibrational and magical days right here. And while you may have some of the some of the Christ collective are having down days dealing with transmuting. But again, each one has its purpose. These ones vibrating high, they're there to affect the energies in certain ways. These ones that are laying down, they are also doing their divine work by transitioning the negative as it comes in. all in all, everyone is working as this huge team. And also, in conjunction with this huge team, you have many more um, joining it and taking their divine place in it, which is expanding it and having just astronomical results. It's just such an amazing time. And for anyone with discomfort, just keep bearing with it and just do as little as you need to do. If you're overwhelmed and fatigued and dizziness, that is accompanying this, because we're jumping timelines where a lot of good things are happening, and if it may become a little bit confusing, again, just lay down. If you're working at jobs, just don't go. You've got to listen to your body at this time, and you've got to listen to your inner guidance now more than ever, and pay attention. Right now, this is about you, and it's about what you are assisting to build that is different than that mundane world out there. We are in, also, you could look at this, that we are in a time of separation from that mundane, because we are separating from that to create the 5D, which we are doing. So this is a very intense transitional period.
And these ascension symptoms that you talk about, that is in due to also with the body going from the carbon to the crystalline, correct?
For some, yes, that process, it is an ongoing process that will ongo to the degrees that the physical body needs to be upgraded to be able to also step and into the other dimensions, and to be able to keep a place there as well. So the upgrades, yes, they are constant, but with the discomfortable ascension symptoms, we are at the ceiling here once again, ready to break through. So for some of you, your symptoms are going to be, quite severe, but we do break through, and we don't need to incur as intense symptoms as before. So there's a lot going on with that. Having said that, the higher we go, the body, the physical vessel is under constant transformation. And so having said that, transformation, I'm just looking at the chat. So I have to be mindful of my speech.
Oh, yeah, because this is all translating, yes. So I still have a question on the symptoms. So, I understand those are to get us to the higher dimensions, right? So we have to endure that, but isn't that still where the body's changing? Or has the body already changed? Or is it all in conjunction?
Well, see, the physical body, every time we make the huge shifts upward, the physical body has to compensate and become accommodated to the higher frequencies.
Okay.
So that's why it's an ongoing process, and there is a point somewhere up here where it will be alleviated very good, but until that time, for the most part, for the most advanced, their discomforts and disease with that, or their discomforts have been alleviated much, because they were paying attention to their bodies with their diets, also with their energetic fields, how they act and react. They were getting rid of the negativity. So when you do that, your symptoms are less severe. And what we have found with this transition with the human vessel during this ascension is that the foods and the chemicals that were entering the body were actually causing um, they were causing a contradiction to what would be a natural transition of the organic organic. They were causing complications with the physical body to let's say to transition more smoothly, because not only did the physical body have to rewire uh, the DNA and shift things around, it had to contend with physical bodies, having cells that were full of different chemicals and things in there. And so, part of the uncomfortable process with the ascension mostly was purifying the body. And that's what a lot of the discomfort had come from. So you need to clean that out. And that's why it was so important with the food and drink, and even cosmetics, even anything you were putting on your body, your shower soap, anything that had aluminum. It was the main thing that was toxic also to this ascension. For example, underarm perspirant, if it was not natural and aluminum based, well, hey, that causes discomfort. And it also takes your energy, because your body, you have so much of an energetic field, and it takes energy to try to rectify and purify the body of these chemicals. And rashes, eczema, all of these are actually showing you that the body is being purified. And you can assist with purifying the toxics out of the body by eliminating the chemicals in your food and drink as much as you can do. So that was so important, and that would alleviate much of the discomforts. And having said that, before I was awakened, this physical vessel was saturated with chemicals because of my eating habits and my drinking habits. What I drank before I was awakened, I had to go through a very dense process, but a very quick one. I had to change my diet overnight. Every bit of food, I had to read the labels, look at them, and to purify my diet as quick as possible. And for me, again, I say it was easy once I knew God was real, then knew what I was. There was no questioning. Get to work, eliminate all these processed foods, all the chemicals, all the dyes like white sugar, white flour, anything that had chlorine in it, eliminate it. I went through a very quick process, but it was much easier for me because of my time here now and what I needed to do. I had to repair that old physical body as quick as possible to be in alignment with the ascension and with you all now.
Yeah.
So with that, I was greatly and fully, I will say fully, assisted by Father in the angelic realms to quickly get this body operating good, to get the energetic fields cleaned up, and all of that other stuff. I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, you're not. It's good information. Well, Rick just mentioned about using borax to clean the body and the hair. I've never heard of that. What's your thoughts on that?
I would suggest no with that. Again, be very careful. Also, at this time, not only be very careful with any aluminum products out there. I suggest to keep as natural as you can. But at this time, I am going to say something about apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going to speak about how important it is to eliminate these acids from your diet as well. Now, The reason why, in the past, perhaps apple cider vinegar or vinegars were okay, but for a lot of you now, they are not. You need to keep your physical vessel, the pH of it, in an alkaline state. And the reason you need to do this is to purify the ribonucleic acids, which are contained within the DNA, and the rewiring. What you wish not to be doing is in the transitional process of the body from organic to more crystalline and upgraded, or from carbon based to crystalline. You do not, what's actually happening in your vessel, it's getting rid of the old carbons. And if you keep introducing certain carbon chemical arrangements like alcohol, it has a double carbon on it, and that actually interferes with the DNA process. That's why I'm a large ascension advocate, telling everyone, you should not even have any alcohol, no yeast, even for some. You have to be very selective. You can go and have alcohol, but watch what happens to your fields. And there will come a time for some that, if they're advancing but they're drinking alcohol, that they'll hit that ceiling. They won't go up any further. And if it's time for them to rise up and they don't quit alcohol, they'll become very sick, that they have no choice. It'll be assured. But getting back to the apple cider vinegar, if you look at that, it's 5% acetic acid. And I know that in the past, perhaps some holistic ones put out there, but it's alkaline base. No, it's not. You need to look right at the fructose, what creates it as well. You go right into, I don't wish to get too fully chemical with this, but to keep it simple, I suggest no vinegar, anything acetic. For some of you, you will, well, no, I need to say it for all of you. It's best if you avoid those acids, especially things like vinegar and any of that. Try to find an alkaline alternative if you need it for your diet.
Okay, he was saying that the borax is a mineral. It's like baking soda.
Yeah, baking soda. The borax, for some reason, it's just, I just cannot recall what I was informed about that borax, but for some reason I'm suggesting maybe another alternative. The baking soda, I know, is good for certain things as well. But also with this, there is an individual basis. Once you are more in tune with your divinity, then things that you should avoid and things that will assist you. But once you get up, you get up to that stage in your divine growth, then it becomes more easier for you. But with that borax, it's kind of, there's something just about it, and I just don't recall right now what it is. I suggest to do your research further into it, and if it doesn't contain too many chemicals, you need to watch the sulfates. Cut down on those as well. They are not, let's say, sulfates are not compatible with your ascension as well. So these chemicals like aluminum and chlorine, the molecular arrangements of chlorine, alcohol, many of the preservatives, the citric acids that they have in preservatives, avoid those. They are acetic, so do your own research on this, and just know that an alkaline base diet will alleviate many of your discomforts. And there's new, we have in these new timelines now that there are also holistic doctors, naturopaths, homeopaths, or what have you. They are putting out the importance of keeping the physical vessel in the alkaline above the 7 on your pH level. The higher alkaline you can keep it, it is proven, and there are studies out there that you escape, pretty well all sickness with it.
Yeah.
I'll stop there.
Well, and what about somebody had mentioned Demantius Earth SP? I've never heard of that, and lemons or any kind of. Well, I don't consider, even though lemons are a citrus fruit, but aren't they different than oranges and grapefruits?
With this, what I will go with, for me, I am told to avoid any of the citrus fruits, and I will share with everyone. I love oranges and tangerines, but I'm not supposed to be around them because of the high citric acid. And I do need to. I love a jam, a berry jam, which does have some citric acids in it as a preservative. So when I do have that, it may be have a little treat, but then later on I gotta more detox my body with good water and things. So for me, it becomes easier to not indulge so much in these good things we grew up on, that we love, that are actually harmful.
Yeah.
The less we indulge in them, the less we need to detoxify the body, and we keep going forward. So I try to keep a good medium with it, but to share with all of the audience, I love some pastry. Sometimes I will go in and eat something that's really, it's toxic, but my system is, I'm very in tune with my system that I can counter the effects of that, plus do a very quick detox. But that is the way I am. Each one is unique, and follow what your body says.
So would you consider lemons a part of that? Because I do lemon water every morning.
I would suggest, yes, it's acetic, it's citric acid. I would suggest avoiding that. I would suggest, yes. I have to speak my truth. This is my truth and what I'm given. Now, you may, Linda, for you drinking that, you may need it, or it may be good for you, but perhaps where we're bringing it up, maybe it's time you quit.
Yeah.
It's whatever way what resonates with you to do, and that's same as all of the viewers. One thing I will say is pay attention though to your body, and try this. Perhaps with you, Linda, stop having your lemon water for a week. See if there is the difference. That way, you confirm it for yourself that you are feeling better as well. So again, anything I say, I suggest if anyone doubts, test it. That is the quickest way.
Yeah.
Don't just walk away saying I don't agree with that. I suggest to take the time and test. And many of you may find that it is correct to do this, that you will feel better. But that is your choice with that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But what is this Demantius Earth SP? What is that?
Diametronious Earth, or
Yes.
however, I know what you mean. I have heard that come up a bit in the past. Father kind of introduced me to it. Let me put it this way. If it works for you and it resonates for you, then use it until there may come a point that it has no benefit. But what I am seeing is many newer things like this are being utilized during this ascension. Now, it may be within certain things that for your individual physical vessel that you need something from that. So if that's coming up, you follow that. But I cannot comment on that particular item uh, any more than that. Then it did come into my awareness, but I didn't spend time looking at it because it was not something that I needed to be educated on more, and it was something that I did not utilize. So that's all that I will give on that subject.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, what about, you talked about citric acid. What about ascorbic acid? That's in a lot of vitamin C.
Yeah, well, again, you got to be very careful with your acids. See, the vitamin C, there is always an intake of acid into your body of some sort. And, in your digestive system, you have acids there that purposely, causes the chemical reactions to separate the energy, to separate the chemical compositions that go into the cell that are broken down further later. So during that process, you do need some acids. But having said that, it's best that most of your acids you get from green vegetables. A lot of the leafy greens have exactly more purified acids rather than acids that are chemically produced in labs and synthesized that way. So I suggest to keep as natural as you can on the acids, but limit them.
What's your thoughts, Rick, on supplements? We had talked a little bit about that at one point. Because, the supplements, where we're talking about chemicals and putting the stuff in the body, because a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of them, but there are capsules that are out of plastic. They're not vegetarian or gel caps.
Yeah, with that, if you're taking supplements, really, what I suggest is, again, a lot of these supplements, they're made in labs. Their labeling may say natural, but you got to be very, very careful with that because, it depends on many things that I don't fully trust supplements. What I would look for what you need, I would look for in your fresh foods that you can get. Then it's a much more pure source and you know more of what's in it rather than getting a supplement off of the shelf.
Yeah, because they're not FDA approved.
Okay. Sorry. May I say that we kind of we're going to keep a lot of the questions for the last if we could.
Yes, I know. I was just asking because it tied into the Ascension, so I was just trying to ask you those questions. But okay, so do you think that this whole for the Ascension symptoms is due to the eclipse?
Everything is energy and everything affects, but let's say the eclipse will have energetic effects, but not what's occurring right now. No.
Okay. So then let's go on to the global conditions. You were talking about there's some current global conditions that are happening.
Yeah, if we can.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I got some things wrote down here.
Okay.
I've got to try to make out my writing. What's this? Oh, okay.
That's
yeah, so if we get back to the global scene, we know that everything is escalating there more and more, moment by moment. So, with the huge protests and these sort of things, there is a lot of energy created with that as well. And it does, again, has its full intents and purposes. And again, it's created by the forces of energy being compressed on the negative side and the light pushing it and forcing it, the light expanding. So again, it may get more chaotic as we go through with this. So, keep your calm, keep united with your ones that are awakened. And again, we mentioned this the other day. If one of you are transmuting, feeling down low, connect with a higher one to assist in keeping your vibration up. Now, while all this is playing out globally, observe it neutrally with your protests or whatever, unless you are divinely guided to be part of that as well. You must follow your guidance, and if you are to physically support it, go and do it. The other ones of you that are kept back from the physical protest but are observing back on the energetic level, it's also, this is the most important time for you to keep putting a certain amount of your thoughts and your energy forward into creating the 5D, what you want there, void of the negativity. So you have a two-prong approach. You have some that are pushing the negative away, changing the old at that level, but you need the creators, you also thinking and keeping your mind about the 5D, about like the resets of currencies, the quantum financial system, the liberation, the wealth equality. These are the things we want, and these are the things you need, a certain part of that collective to keep energized as well. The stronger ones that are well aware of what I'm saying, you need to keep that energized to your highest levels, and any ways that you can purvey it forward that's open to it, those are your those are your signs to purvey it, to let it expand as well, because as many of you know, most of these viewers now, that you can manifest at lower levels. That is your divine magic. Many of you have seen it, that you want something, it pops into your reality. So, those were the trivial ways to manifest, and it occurred for reasons. You were introduced to the little things and get practice with them to get ready for the bigger things like the QFS, the RV, and that liberation. So now don't direct your energy on manifesting the little things for you anymore. Those ones of you that were successful at doing that, combine your energy, put it into creating this new. And what that also does is that very quickly, the stronger this new is created, it attracts everything from the bottom up to it as well. And as it rises, all of this negativity from protests has to fall to the side, because what you have is the energy from the people is divinely charged, and it wants to also connect up into this new that you are creating, which lets all of the negativity and suppression from the current societies drop. So it's important that you strongest advanced ones keep that alive, keep creating that. We need that there as well for us to keep reaching forward to, and it keeps taking us forward.
Yeah. Now, how does that in relationship, because it's still global, is the stock markets? You had mentioned the stock markets. What's going on with
Thank
that?
you for that, Linda. What we are most likely going to see, anything with the stock markets, it's all the whole thing with the financial system with that. It's all just a ridiculous game that really it doesn't matter any. The money has been it's fiat money, meaning it's been created out of thin air. It's created digitally, and the banks and the governments, what controls the stock markets, that let's say they were able to create all of this money out of thin air, which they did, and they didn't share it with you. So that means it's foundationed in ill intent, in selfishness, greed, and it's not divinely supported. And where we are going here in the new, it is all going to collapse. It has no choice. The whole system is contaminated with negative and fear-based actions that is not divinely supported. The energy does not support it, so it will collapse. It will go right out of existence. Now, a very quick thing with how stock markets really do work is that the banks, the ones with the most money, always control it. They always steered it to their desires. Their desires was, to keep most of the money, but also to suppress the others. Like you had pensioners, they were told, you're working, keep contributing to a pension. When you retire, you'll have, 70, 80,000 a year, which would be, with the the buying power of your dollar or whatever, it would be great. You're living a great life for all of you. Well, as a lot of the old viewers would know, that it was a lie, but it had if everything would have been just, yes, the system would have been perfect and there would have been the civilized luxury. But the thing is, no, it's because the whole system was savage and they gave you that illusion that things would be good. So, having said that, the whole system has to come down the way it is. And the stock markets are that. To give someone just a simple idea, again, like an essential way of looking at it is that the banks are what we call market makers. And what they do is their job is to sustain a market in certain stocks. But the thing is that they have the potential to take any stock from zero to $5 million in the blink of an eye, because they are the ones that are controlling that price. Now, in all of the laws of your countries, it tells you that stock manipulation is fraud. This is what your government tells you. Your government tells you that they have regulators to assure that there is no fraud. The government tells you that they are about investor protection. But it is all a lie right at the base with the governments, because the governments are in collusion with the banks to not make it so. And it's very simple to see when the banks can manipulate the stocks that there is no free market. It's controlled. Your government tries to tell you they maintain a fair market, but it only takes common sense to tell anyone that big money can control any market. And that's what has occurred with all of the financial markets, with the trading of currencies, trading of stocks, making up these derivatives, non-asset backed paper. I've been, I spend a considerable time in the markets trading for myself, but going deep and finding how everything works. And once any of you were to take a look into that, you would see how it's all rigged, controlled, and corrupt. It's okay with that. If it was, you think that you could step away from it, but no, it dictates everything that you do. When you go out and get a mortgage, what happens? You had paid interest on it, but the banks control the mortgage rate, that they're always sucking money from you. Plus, when you got a mortgage, you went to the bank, the money that you got was mostly created by the bank to give it to you. So it was a self-serving thing always. And then if you go back to you look at your pensions, Well, your government is supposed to secure, uh, and assure that your government pension plans are protected. But it's been shown in so many cases, like in Detroit, what have you, where they're the civilians' pension plan only pensions pennies on a dollar, which should not have ever occurred if everything was just with governments.
Yeah.
So it shows you where governments allow these sort of things to occur, that the government's and the politicians' agenda is, if you take in Canada, getting in office, I believe, for 4 years and collecting perhaps a pension for most of your life that's $70,000 or $100,000 or more a year,
Yeah.
where you had ones that had worked all of their lives, contributed to their old age security, and getting a pension that is below actual poverty levels. Like, it's common sense for anyone to see why at this very time the whole thing and the governments have to collapse. The government put your pension plans in there, and the government knows that the banks take the stock market up. That's how they make money. But when they crash it is when they make the most, because that's when they're taking the cream off the crops. And this is why you have the stock market crashes, to clean out the pension funds and put everyone back. Oh, I lost all my money, now I got to work harder, to keep them in the ridiculous loops. And this is also why, in preparation for this, over the last several years, many takes their money out.
Yeah.
If they had money in 401ks, or, if they had it in RSPs in Canada, what have you, much of that over the course of time, as those ones awakened, they were taking that money out. At least they would, let's say, have some fun with it, or do something else with it. They knew it was no good to save it up to retire, because it was all a rigged game. And you might had, let's say, $1 million in your bank account here in Canada, but if you look at the laws that are written, and it was provisioned into Canadian law with Jim Flaherty several years ago, is what they call a bail-in system. What is actually written in law, that if there was to be, let's say, a state of emergency with the banks in Canada, that you would actually, your money, if you had $1 million in there, I believe the maximum that was guaranteed was 100,000 would be all that you could get out. And, these same sort of things are worldwide. Same as, it's what, when we had the bank runs in Greece and Cyprus, these were the same sort of things. People they knew what was going on, that it was corrupt. They go to get their money from the banks. Boom, banks all closed up, ATMs shut down. People, I don't know if they ever got their money. And, again, this is why ones of us that are awakened, like all the viewers here, this is why you try to have some cash out on hand, because it's inevitable that the system is going to collapse. And what I had received, more or less from a father at one time, or divinity in the past, that it may collapse for about 5 days, but it's good for ones to, have at least cash out or enough supplies for a couple weeks. I'm not giving a time on that, but again, all of the viewers will know, with what's happening globally, all the signs are there that we are getting closer and closer. See, because the more tension that builds up globally, that takes you closer to the resets and everything happening. Sorry, I got way off on a thing there.
No, it all related. Because I was going to say, so would you suggest that due to all this banking stuff, which we talked about, really, because if the banks go down, so if you had the money in there, say 500,000 in there, the banks go down, you don't get that money. Even if we do have the quantum financial system coming in, do you know anything about that?
Well, if we can bring that quantum financial system, something like that in, money will not matter to the degree. So having said that, there will be different things that will happen. And again, it's a transitory stage, but someone right now, the American dollar is worth zero, and U.S. was bankrupt a long time ago. Actually, the U.S., if you were to look at simple economics and figure it out, that the U.S. really owed, under the simple economics, would owe the rest of the world, and a great bit of money. Japan would be the one that would owe the rest of the world the most. If you look at their debt, like if you look at some of the numbers, what they put out, you look at the world debt, whatever that is, and it's a huge number, but who do they owe it to? Like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you look at every American, what they're telling you right now, because they're saying of the government debt in America, every baby, a baby that was born today, they got a $61,000 bill, to work on that debt. That's what they're responsible. Each individual in the U.S. at this time, under these ridiculous economics of what governments and banks did, everyone right now has another debt of $61,000. Every individual, to even out the books in that country. In Canada, $38,000. So if you were to go, really, how ridiculous is that? You're supposed to be born into a free world, but actually you're born into where a child is born into a $61,000 debt before they even begin living. Like, it's absurd, but this is what they have created, and it can no longer be that way. And sorry, you got me going again on a different subject.
No, it all tied in. So with the global conditions that are happening, well, that's the conditions, but anything globally, like with Trump and any of that, do you foresee, or do you have any comments to make on where we're at establishing to where we're headed and how soon this will be? I know we're never given dates, but.
I know, Linda, and thanks for that. Yeah, as everyone knows, it's so important to watch what happens in the U.S. because what we have been given, that is the first domino that sets off the global change very quickly. So what happens there in the U.S., it sets the stage for the reset of currencies that I'm given, I will be, and we will be part of those timelines. So the reevaluation and a reset of currencies globally, and they have no choice but to do this because of what I just said before about the ludicrous debt, about each person being born, right at this time with 61,000 in the U.S. is what a child that was just born as we speak, boom. He's read it. He might as well say that child just born is given a $61,000 bill to begin working on in his life.
Wow.
So it's all got to collapse. Exactly. There is no merit. There is no basis for an economic society like that. It has to collapse, because it's preposterous. And it shows you where they were able to create debt, they were able to create the opposite. So where they were able to print all this money and create debt and create someone that it was supposed to be owed to, they can create free money. Yeah. So it's so very simple. So this, where they created debt and created money and had everyone owing and paying things, the opposite is very possible. And this opposite of everyone having no debt is what everyone wants now. So it has to be. And the more that supports this, and the more that refuse to pay the debts and taxes and all that, then when it's no longer supported, by the masses, it cannot exist anymore. It has to drop out of existence. So, and this is what you have. You have the transition of this right here, which is taxes and debt, which people are saying no, they don't accept it anymore. They don't give their consent to contributing to something that is an illusion. So they stop paying taxes. They don't pay credit cards because, again, credit card debt is illusionary debt. It's created by the banks. It's no one really has to pay it. It's preposterous. So this has to fade out, while this over here is getting bigger and bigger because the people are supporting the quantum financial systems, the reset of currencies, and a new economic policy and way of being that is not contaminated by the greed, by the ill intent. This over here is all encompassing. It's the equality. Everyone gets the same, and this is what everyone wants. But with this, also, because everyone is equal, there is no wage disparity, there's no control of money. Then very rapidly, it takes out poverty, all sickness, takes out war. There's no reason for anyone to fight if they have everything. So this is what everyone wants, and this is the 5D, what we are creating.
Yes.
And anyone, like you can go on the street, Linda, right, and just do a survey. Okay, and just say, what do you choose? Okay, having a debt, trying to work your ass off to pay this off, or do you want a life where you have the same amount as everyone else and you're able to enjoy yourself there? Like, again, it's a no-brainer, right? It's that blatant, and that's the point that we have reached, that really you don't even need what you would call common sense to make a choice like that. That's how blatant it is, and that's also why it must collapse. No one will support it the way it is anymore.
Well, and I think on the side that where you talk about where we have the credit cards, the banks, or that is the bank, or the banks, or the taxes and stuff, we have been programmed for so long, right, that it's become fear-based. So I've talked to people just as you and I have talked, right? And they're like, are you kidding? I would never not pay my taxes because they're going to come and take you to jail, So there's so much fear. That's what's just been told, you have to die and you have to pay your taxes, which is, like you say, if you really know, it's all BS.
Exactly, and they cannot take you to jail. Like you're offered under your constitutions, if they're valid, a secure life, a sustenance, a place to live. You're assured that. So how can they really, if they say this constitution is in place in every country to enforce your rights, how can, when you have bad things happen, how can they come and start taking stuff from you in your house? No, if they do that, they are in complete violation. And if they begin to intimidate you to get money out of you, that is coercion and threat, which is actually illegal under law, human rights laws, as well as international laws. So they can't do it. The only way they can do it is if you say, oh, okay, here, take my money. If you give your consent away and allow them to be authority over you, then they will do it. But this is the time also that we're in, that many that are awakening up, they are taking back their consent, and they're saying no. They're recognizing the governments as de facto operations, meaning they are de facto because they only serve the ones that consent to them. That's good. That's what keeps the government going. But every day, these ones are getting more tired that we're consenting to the system, and they're going over here and saying, no, we need something better. Like your strike down there in Los Angeles with all the teachers, even though it's over money, everyone needs to look at the point. What is the overall intent behind that? It's unrest because they felt it's unfair. That's what you've got to look at. These people may be going looking for more money, but it's the beginning of that intent for the great change that they're no longer accepting what governments are telling them they must do. So you're seeing that huge protest against it. And if you look at those numbers, 35,000 teachers there in California, Los Angeles, like walked out very quickly. It was perhaps it was organized way ahead, but nevertheless, those are very significant numbers. And you also mentioned the port strike, I believe. Also, Linda, again, you're seeing ones that are resisting the system. They are tired of it. They know it's games, and but also what's happening is that people are no longer going to be able to be bought, like by throwing a bone to you. Say, like if you're making 15 an hour, you go on strike for 20, they'll say, okay, we'll give you 20. That would appease some, but a lot are knowing now that no, they can't be bought. No matter if you give me $100 an hour, I am not going supporting this institute or this structure that is going to keep others enslaved and even my children enslaved for years. It's all crumbling in that respect. And on the protest thing, I put up, there was, what was it, like 200 million in India, females that stood up, a huge protest. And there was a lady that did comment from India on that post the other day. And she said, Rick, it was a success. It was something about, now don't hold me to this, about, the female. Again, this was the suppression of the female. But what occurred is that, they all stuck together. And to keep it simple, they did affect change here the last few days. So they were successful, and they changed something. What I'm feeling is where they were not allowed into certain temples because of the discrimination against the women, that they changed that. And that is significant because, again, you're seeing that society has to accept to the minimum the equality of the matriarch to the patriarch. So you see the patriarch rule and dominance crumbling, which is totally in line with this ascension as well, and totally showing the strength of the feminine. So such a beautiful, remarkable display of the feminine strength there in India. And I mean, you look at those numbers, can you actually look outside and imagine 200 million women? Like that is a formidable force. So any government or what have you would run from that. And this brings me in, to the next thing. You have governments in these times of what people are thinking may be chaos. I mean, you have militaries that are made up of civilians as well. Yeah. And you have law enforcement agencies. Yeah. So it is not correct for one to think that if you restrict governments, that you'll all be thrown in jail, or, that the military will come and kill you. No, it's wrong to think that, because within the military and the law enforcement agencies, there are souls in there that have consciousness that will walk away from their jobs. And for example, let's just look at the U.S. If the U.S. decided to take the military and turn it against their people, I don't think they'd have anyone to operate their tanks or the planes, or it would not happen. I think the military would go with the people and say, no, enough is enough. So having said that, just as an example, this is what will happen globally. The people, they have these jobs, but they'll be unable to kill their fellow men and women and all of this, because also, again, as we keep going forward and increasing the vibration, and the awareness, and with the heart space, which raises the frequency, none of them cannot exist where we're at by doing wrong. And actually, they will become the victim of their own demise. Do they support any actions like that? So everything is secured with that. And you will see it. You might see, let's say, uh, you know, just as an example, it won't occur, but what you might have saw at the end of days was several huge leaders that had no one supporting them, and they just got to run away because it's no longer, any what you would call, any tyranny or what have you. It's no longer supported either. It's all diminishing.
Yeah,
But
yeah, definitely. Well, that you had mentioned something in one of the other shows, or maybe you and I were talking about it, but where in Europe they were saying, because there's been so many protests going against the government there, and how they were saying the U.S. is really pretty much in the dark on this, that that we don't really know. I mean, we could do a whole show on that, really. You know what I mean? Just if you
a
have,
lot of that, yeah.
exactly, if you have enough people that have the knowledge, right, that states and of what you're really talking about, then they're like, well, why would I even, wanted to support this? So if everybody didn't support that, what else could they do? They couldn't do anything. If you've got, 2 million people not paying their taxes, well, of course, the government's shut down right now anyway, so I don't think anything's happening with that. But if you get enough people that have the understanding that, look, you've been programmed all this time, leading you to believe this is what you're supposed to do and this is how it happens, but now you have new knowledge that shows that it's all a lie, then you would think that everybody would gather and say, okay, you know what? The more people that say no, and we talk about this in the show with you and with Whelan and Anthony Whelan, about sovereignty, taking back your authority and your sovereignty.
Indeed, but see, you touched on a very important point there. Ones that are still supporting it didn't know that they had another option. See,
right.
Because again, they are programmed to get up, go to work, come home, watch a programmed TV news station that does not tell them about all of the protests. It's selective what they watched, so, and it's assured. So if they're a government worker, government's good, I got to pay my taxes, come home, I'll watch the news, about something that is, there could be a million things happening in this outside world, but they're fake news, like Trump calls it. I love that because it is, and the fake news is there as a program that would coincide with them going to work, paying taxes.
Yeah.
But and with that, as Trump is doing, tearing down that fake news as well, and it's comical what he comes out with, because I mean, it's blatantly, he is a prominent public figure, and here he is coming right out and saying that, like ones like CNN and Fox and different ones, the huge medias, that they are the fake news. And it's comical because what you would call the alternative news, which these big news medias called the fake, this is actually the right news. It is the truth, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And what you are having is more and more also supporting this. They're taking YouTube's, making their own YouTube videos, many speaking, many. It's just expanding so rapidly that, the other, I mentioned a while ago, we actually have control over the media just because of that, because we don't need to take control of this big media like you would think. What we do is we build the other media, then it pushes it out of existence, because you have this big expanding media, and as I said before, for some things you don't even need common sense. Once you're introduced to it, you know that this is the way to go, and that's why it's getting so much bigger as well. And it is divinely supported because it is the truth. The alternative news is the truth. It's divinely supported, and it's also energized to have that effect to reach down in and awaken more of the masses, which it's doing, and taking them away from the oligarchs that own these news medias,
Yeah.
and changing the programming.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I think too, if it, knowing who Trump is, I think for people may think, well, that's just Trump, blowing steam or whatever. So, but again, it goes really back to people knowing that they didn't have an option, and now we do have an option. So that might be something we can do in the future, is a show on that, just of the corruptness of what we really think to be the truth, but it really isn't. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that option that they have is growing. It's more accessible to them now. And
Yeah.
as we said, thanks to the internet, it's making it all possible, for this very time. And it's very important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you want to touch on anything else before we go into question and answers? Is there anything else?
Well, yes. Oh, sorry, Linda. Yes, I do have a couple important things. Yes. So let me just look at, well, like here, my page. I don't know if you can see it, but I got things all. It's not in order, so I had to look to see what we touched on. Very, very importantly, in leading up to our Divine Gift show that we will do in the future, near future, hopefully, it keeps getting put off divinely. But what is occurring is that right in this now, there are ones that I'm into contact with that they are stepping more into their divine abilities, their divine gifts, that before Linda and I even put out an introduction and write it to you, it's already occurring. It's happening now before we put this out. And Sharon Piccola, she shared with me today one of her very important divine gifts. It's a pretty simple gift. It's one that I have, and many of the viewers and ones watching this could identify with my assistance for them. What we are now given, what she has received is, she doesn't have to question or think about what is wrong with someone, meaning when I say wrong, like what is holding them back, what is the specific thing. This divine gift, it tells you, it is the inner knowing. You go right there and you know instantly what needs to be, they need assistance with, and you could write it down in 2 sentences. Okay, here's what you got to do. So this gift, it is totally accurate, and it makes you more efficient, that you write a couple sentences down for this one, boom, they got what they need, they're gone, you're there to assist another. Now, for these divine gifts to become an active right now, she is not the only one. There are many more. Nancy, the other day, her gifts have strengthened. She started using them. The white dragon was part of hers. She walked out of a restaurant before using her gifts that day, and in the white clouds, a fluffy white dragon, again, confirming that it is so, that she can access that. So it's happening even before we get the show done, which is going to be great as well, Linda. So we're actually getting confirmations before we do the show with this. But with me in the past, divinity loves this. Anyway, in the past, they always supply the gifts. Then it seems like I got to come in later and give the instructions. Okay, here's what they're for. Here's how you use them, and give any tips. But with Sharon and with Nancy, what I will say, which I'm thankful, Dad, they they're at such a level in their advancement that they get their own information, so they know how to use it, and that makes it much more easier for me. And I'm so grateful for that, and I'm able to, focus on getting others up to their levels. And
Yes.
let me say with this, it's so beautiful to see. It's so magical. And if this ascension and things were not real, you would not be seeing this happen again. So it's total confirmations. One thing in relation to the unity and the divine gifts and the strengthening of us all, what has been occurring, and I know at least several of you that have been in private contact with me, be it on phone or what have you, because we are connecting on higher energetic levels and creating our network, what is occurring is that you will have some sensations. Let me say, because there is no space and time, you will have sensations filtering in to each other's place. For example, I smoke cigarettes, 100% natural, I will say, and I'm soon, hopefully, going to quit. But what I will say, for instance, Sharon, she does not smoke, and again today, her message was she smells cigarette smoke right strong, and she knows it's I because of her energetic connection. And also with another powerful female, one evening I was speaking to her and laying down in my camper, and I smelled chocolate. And there was no chocolate in my camper, but it was coming from her. I said, "You were eating chocolate, or you are eating chocolate." She said, "No, not right now, but I was before." And and because it's so strong. So what I'm saying is that, one of the great confirmations is getting that smell. Like, you could be a couple thousand miles away and someone's walking through a rose garden, and you could be up in the Arctic, and if you're connected, you might begin smelling roses and wondering where it come from. But it come from one of your compatible Christ consciousness, divine comrades, because it goes back and forth. So again, it shows you that you are not restricted to space nor time with this. So I wish to share that little bit.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It keeps getting better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If I may, I'd like to just barely, I'd like to put this out there because this is a very, let me say, this is very important in this now. So just by us speaking about it, you'll start to see the effects. The foods that are given into hospitals to patients and the jails, these foods are highly toxic, full of chemicals. So in this temporary now, what we need to do upon the planet, anyone needing lesser medical care or needing medical care in any of these sort of institutions, or anyone in the jail, and I know in the US many were jailed because it's all part of a monetary system. Intentionally, you'll have someone with a small misdemeanor getting jailed for 6 months because they get paid for it. The ones that own the jails, they made a business out of it, and the judges were in collusion with the jails, to make this pocket money. And this has been confirmed in several states, and the documentation has been put out of this. So I'm not speaking off the top of my hat, and I do know this. And anyone knows about hospital food, if I mentioned that, everyone's stomach would just go, ah, because, yeah, it is highly toxic. And, it's contradictory, too. You're supposed to be having health care with, good any dietitian or practitioner will tell you how important your diet is, to keep it good and clean. Yet you'll have hospitals heating up food in microwaves and food that are processed and full of chemicals. Like, how contradictory is it? So, meantime, we got to get that stuff changed up for more of our comrades that are awakening. So, they get not too succumbed to the chemicals, if you will.
Yeah, that's
so I'll put it out there. We'll see what we see about that, huh? So.
Yes. And we seem to always see something happen after these shows. So I would venture to say that we will probably see something.
Okay. Also, Linda, if I may, I'd like to touch very quickly, briefly on one more thing.
Yes, of course, yes.
What some of you had been targets for a long time, and you knew you were under surveillance by government black ops, the guys above governments. Actually, governments, as you know, is really run by the elites. So let's say these elites that were afraid of you and coming into your prowess and kept you suppressed, that you couldn't be killed and that you were under constant surveillance, and that they can't touch you. However, they don't know what else to do with you. I've been telling them, and perhaps you've been telling them, to just do the right things, but they didn't. So they continue to monitor and watch you, and I guess perhaps out of a hope or a whim that they'll be able to do something. But it's not about us. It's not about you anymore being the target. You may see surveillance or what have you, but again, that is diminishing, and it will go away if you're seeing it, because, again, it's not supported and it cannot be. And you are protected at all times, and it is assured. So there can be no injustices. To heavy degrees imposed upon you. They in the past, many of you, they tried to frame you, and I know about all of these things. That gets into another show, but to cut this off shortly, that they cannot harm you, and I have fun with them, and when I see them, I give them a sign or blow them kisses. Before I used to walk to their vehicles and have a conversation with them and all of this. So have no fear with that.
Well, that's really everything is just what we're talking about from the very beginning of the shows is really having no fear at all, and not feeding that fear into that, because that's what it does. Yeah.
Because that's how they controlled you. Yeah, through fear and money.
Yes.
Those were two of the main things.
Yes. Crazy. Okay, you want to open it up to Q&A? I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, I'm ready if you are.
I am always.
I got some natural throat spray here, so get some of that in and get ready.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to Q&A. So what I'll do is, if you have a question, put it in the chat, one question at a time, and then what I'll do is I'll find your name on the participants list, and then I'll open up the mic so you can actually have a conversation with Rick, and he can answer your question. If he has more questions to your question, then you guys can talk about that. So questions are opening up. Anybody have a question? We'll take that.
Cool.
Yay. And then the names are in alphabetical order, so I can just go down the list. So you guys can ask a question on the Ascension, the stock market, global conditions, anything that Rick's talked about tonight, if you have any questions in regards to that.
So Linda, everything is working good with our platform there on your end then? So you're able to access everything. So if I understand correctly, then if someone answers a question, if if I wish to speak to them, then we can just activate their microphone if I need some more information, correct?
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll actually activate the microphone. Yeah, for sure. Nobody's got any
Okay.
questions? I know there's questions earlier. Well, Cole said he thought his mom was targeted. Targeting affects me minimally, although successful. Okay, here we go. I did, but I don't want to talk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank Turu. You say God bless you and Rick and everyone.
With Cole, no, don't ever.
You see that?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting time.
No, you no, never feel stupid. There's never, I mean, there's all questions are great no matter what, really, because it may be something that somebody else here needs to hear and that are afraid. So, yeah, if you really want to ask that question. Okay, so Cole's questions are you implying fruit acids are less rewarding than leafy greens, veggie acids? Oh, let me
Yes,
find
I
it.
am.
Okay. Do we,
Yeah. Be careful, be particular in the fruits you select, and I suggest doing your own research on them. You wish to have a fruit that is not as acidic as the citric family. So I suggest, look for perhaps alternatives. Do your own research with that. That's
Cole,
what I
you're
suggest.
unmuted too, if you want to
Oh,
ask anything.
no, that was it.
That was it?
It's interesting. There was an old religious following that banned fruit specifically, so it's kind of interesting that he said that. I forget what sect it was though.
Okay. Rick, did
Okay,
you hear that?
Cole.
Yeah.
No, what did he say? There was an area that banned fruit or sect. What was it?
I read once there's an older like subsection of some sort of religious following or group, and part of their practices was the banning of grapes and a certain fermented juice specifically. So it was interesting that you said that.
Yeah, it is, and thank you for bringing that up, Cole. I receive divinely what I get and I put out. I'm not influenced by things, and themes and fads upon the surface. If I need to put something out like don't drink alcohol, that comes from the higher place, from Father or whatever, to put it out for the ones that it resonates with. And, as I mentioned earlier in our program here, that, I love oranges and tangerines. But yeah, I was told, no, you got to stay away from them. The very odd time I can have one or so. And I will say, I love ice cream. And I know that's dairy, but I'm only allowed at certain times. I ask, a lot of times I say, okay, is it okay if I get some ice cream today? No, no, no. But there'll be a time, maybe once a month, that, yeah, okay, you can have some ice cream. But what it does, when I go and have the ice cream, it lowers my vibration immediately. I can feel it. But I also
Oranges.
know that it's a time for me just to have a pit stop, and right? And so
I'm
coincides
surprised you
with,
mentioned oranges.
pardon?
I always assumed oranges to be very, very beneficial because of such a high level of vitamin C's.
Exactly, Cole. Yeah, I as well, and in the past, I by eating oranges, yeah, you could feel, the increased energy from them. And I also, let's say, was kind of surprised when I was told divinely no, right? And but I follow that without question, and anything I need to do to perhaps support that, I'm given at a later basis if I need to share it with anyone. But your vitamin C content, what many of the viewers are going to be, they may be surprised, they may already know, is that, vitamin C and all of these other, let's say, chemicals that you may need that were for your organic body or whatever, that you can find them in the vegetables. Like I believe it's which one? There's one that has a very. It just left my mind. I know it's a very common leafy green vegetable that is totally high in vitamin C. It's right out there, and potassium and like vitamin K. You get all of these from your raw vegetables. And I will say at this point, anyone cooking vegetables, I would suggest to either just steam them or to eat them raw if you can, because what you do when you cook vegetables, you actually can diminish their energetic content by about tenfold. So it's always best and more energizing and more invigorating to these human vessels to eat the raw vegetables.
Nice. I hope that answers your question.
Lots of thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Thank you,
Food
Cole.
for thought.
I'm a thinker, so I've got lots of thoughts, but I don't want to take anyone's time.
Well, thank you for asking the question. It's greatly appreciated.
I suggest for anyone, and you, Cole, as well, do your online research, right? But when you do it, integrate your higher self and ask for divine assistance to guide you also to the things you need in your research, and to start utilizing that divine energy that is there to support you, the angels, whatever you wish to call on, creator, ask for that assistance as well. But what I'm saying, it is very real assistance. And then, see what you come up with. Then you don't have to do so much guesswork, because you'll be more strictly guided to what you need. It is very helpful in your process. The more you believe and trust that it works, the more refined your searches will be and will lead you directly to what you need.
True. I definitely don't think people should limit themselves either, though. You need lots of conflicting information to get truth.
You can, yes, as well. Well, during the initial stages, of your discernment process, you need to know that there are untruths out there as well as truths. And that's part of your
I
heart.
just meant in the sense that you don't want to limit information coming in case you miss something important.
That as well, but as you keep getting stronger, you can more readily discern what's coming in when you're able just to, for example, one of the higher gifts that we just touched on, you can recognize the energetic content of something if it's negatively charged or positively charged. So you can very quickly discern if it's beneficial for you or not, trusting your energetic process as well.
Indeed. I would have to agree.
Thank you, Cole. That's awesome, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next question, Janelle. Hey, Rick, I wanted to ask about 21st in reference to rollout with Jasara. So let me find you, Janelle. There you are.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Janelle. Again, I'm not, lately these days, I'm not keeping too much up on that, but what I'm getting from, let's say, the head honcho from headquarters is that, it's coming to fruition here one way or another, that it is a definite. And as I say this right now, the confirmation is huge. Just please don't ask me to put a time on it, because I was not given an exact date. But again, I go to, like Linda was showing and I was showing, it's close at hand. So, yeah, maybe it's Jacera, Nacera, the RV, but we do know that it is happening by looking at the worldwide protests, that tension in France, Europe, everywhere. So we do know what that's leading up to. When it will occur, I really am not given anything other than perhaps by the end of March.
Yeah.
It could be everything changed before that. But having said that, we also could wake up a day from now and it happen. I know it's very close. I just don't have a time on it. And these are sort of humanitarian funds and projects, and there are many. There are also, like, you see a few that are publicized, like things like Nacera and Jacera, the reset of currencies. But what you also have is that there have been, excuse me, seeded and had been prepared for the last several years as well, alternative currency systems. And I'm not really, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you could perhaps they do have a use as part of the transition, with the barter system. But what I wish to say is that there are also new currencies that were being worked upon and advanced forward as well. Some of these currencies were for certain groups, but they've been developed and advanced to, I would like to say that they're at the stage now that very swiftly that they could be put in use. That's what, if needed to be. But there may be the prominent ones that are all encompassing to assist everyone globally instead of many individual monetary, humanitarian, financial programs.
Janelle, I have you unmuted if you want to say anything, if you have any questions. I'm not sure if she's there. Okay. I'll mute her back in. Thank you, Janelle, for asking that question. Okay, so Dawn Ann, sorry, Dawn Ann, I didn't know you had a question. So her question is, so if we have any money in the bank, do we just leave it in there or do we take it out? And I will unmute you, Dawn. Sorry.
Who asked that question?
Dawn Ann. Dawn Ann.
Dawn Ann.
Uh-huh.
Dawn Ann, at this time, I suggest to fully trust what you are feeling inside, and also if you're receiving thoughts in that direction, I suggest to follow what you are divinely given with this, meaning that if you have money in a bank and you feel you should bring it out, or if your thoughts went that way, then again, I suggest that you follow that and trust it to the extent, that it resonates with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Donna.
Thank you for asking the question.
No worry. Nice to talk to you, Rick. Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I really love this format. It's really very personal. I like it. So thank you, Dawn-Ann. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Next question is Lydia. As a retiree, do you recommend we liquidate our life savings? Personally, I want to move forward in faith and believe all that would be well. I'm with you, Lydia. I've walked out on faith, so that's where I'm at. Okay, let me find her.
Well,
I don't know where she's
I'd
at.
like to apologize there for a moment. I was somewhere else, so I need to hear the question again when you're ready, please.
Yes, yes. I'm just trying to find her. So where is she? Okay, so her question is, as a retiree, do you recommend we liquidate our life savings? Personally, I want to move forward in faith and believe all will be well.
Excellent question. I recommend again with any of these monetary decisions that you follow and trust your intuition and what you are given. And this is so important with this. It's about trusting, and if you start receiving signs that are in line with your intuition to do that, then I suggest to do that. But if you feel comfortable with leaving it there, then I suggest to do that as well, because everyone is unique to their situation and what they will do and what they need to do to set something up temporarily, a temporary timeline for them. For some, they may have $1 million in the bank.
Yeah.
And they, they might, it might be okay for them just to leave it there because if that money becomes worthless and there's a new system come in and they're part of that, well, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter how much money you've got at that point when everyone is equal. So, there are things to consider with that, and each one is unique. I will say there are some that were guided to liquidate all of their funds, what they could get out of everything. Others have been leaving some in, but what I will say is I'm beginning to see here in this recent past that more and more are taking it out. And as I said, you go with what you feel on that. And for the record, what wasn't stolen from me by the government, I'd give the rest away to my ex and just left, and they went minimum. And no, I don't. I do have a bank account, but that's more just to do pay a phone bill or online or what have you. I keep it very limited, and yeah, I keep detached from those systems as much as I can. But each one does, what resonates with them.
Well, and two, weren't you also saying it's staying out of fear as well? Like not putting any fear towards that.
And that as well, yeah. Follow your signs. Know that if you need to take it out and you fully trust your connection with divinity, you'll be prompted, or, you'll have a strong compulsion to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lydia, you're off. You can talk, or we have you off.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
I wanted to hire her. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I've been feeling for years now that money's just funny paper, that it really was valueless. And if I could have talked my husband into stop putting money into savings a long time ago, I would have done that. He of course is still very 3D, and that's his comfort zone.
Yeah.
My basic feeling is that we're moving to an era of prosperity for all, and clinging on to a 3D format of a bank account and savings is holding us in lower energies. And I believe as we move forward that there's going to be abundance for everyone if you move forward in faith. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I fully concur, Lydia. Yeah, it's just that, I'm not given exactly which way it will be, but yeah, there's liberation coming, and we're not given all the particulars in between now and then. So,
Well, we're
it's why
creator beings.
we are as well. And this is why I suggest for everyone, the higher creator beings where you're aware of it to, let's keep that energy there in creating that new place where it is abundance for all. I totally concur.
Love it.
Yeah, but as you know, uh, everyone's experience is kind of unique in their transition,
Hmm.
and sometimes you don't know what to leave go of, what to keep. As I said, for instance, I do have a small bank account that I just use for quick transactions, but that's it. But I mean, I do have that connection,
Right.
and but it's very limited. But let me say this though too, Lydia, that even though I have a bank account, that can go in the click of a finger. I throw the card away and get rid of it, right? So again, and there's only very little money in it, just enough to pay a bill. So for me, with that, I'm able to detach from it, and it's not a hindrance to hold me back, because I know in a split second that it can vanish in the blink of an eye. So I feel good with that in that respect. But again, that's a different situation. I have it limited to that it's so easy to detach from it that, I don't have like lace savings or any of that anymore into any of that. And that makes a difference when you are in this transitional period. You don't know how long it's going to take,
Yeah.
but you do have money in there, and you do know that the tensions is rising. You do know that everything with the financial markets and governments is all corrupt, and it's an individual choice what to do with your divine guidance in each situation.
Do you think that there's going to be different experiences for individuals, given that we may all be walking separate timelines? Like,
Um,
well, is there going to be a bifurcation of timelines, meaning that some people may experience complete financial devastation? They may experience complete upheaval and disruption, while others will go through this transition rather seamlessly with minimal interruption, if any. Is that a possibility?
yes, yeah, indeed it is, Lydia. And the perspective that I put out that would accommodate this sort of scenario is the 4D scenario where that occurs, where the commerce and capitalism along that 4D timeline is tore down, and it goes on. But also we have this 5D timeline where we are we are ascending up there, where everything is totally different, and it is up here where we have the wealth equality, a temporary quantum financial system as we keep going higher. But there is a distinction, and that could occur. But also, Lydia, when one's hit rock bottom down here with, let's say, a financial crisis, then it also could be their trigger to push them up to that threshold to begin to ascend to the higher timelines as well. The way that I'm kind of given is that there is not, as we know, there is not a full separation at this time of a 5D to the 4D, that we're transitioning back and forth. But yeah, ideally, and what most are putting is that these timelines are going to separate, that there are no paths back and forth to them. And the ones that are on the lower 4D timeline, will most likely be ascending through the death process rather than this ascension we are on with the 5D, taking the physical body with us as far as it's divinely approved and allowed to go at this time.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for those beautiful
Yeah.
questions, and Lydia, yeah.
Awesome
I
question.
appreciate
Awesome.
your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome. You know, as I'll say, even I am not given what's going to happen. And, you know, what I do know is going to happen, I give it out, but then again, it's vague. We don't know exactly, but we do know enough that we keep wishing and hoping for this, that it creates it, and keep detaching. So, you know, we're doing everything that we can to facilitate the process to get there. And each one does contribute to it, you know, by their actions, what they do and what they're divinely guided to do.
Good.
For example, maybe the divine guidance could be that everyone overnight receives, go get your money out of the bank.
Yeah.
And hey, you know, if that happens, it's going to change things very quickly. For the one thing, the banks do not have that money to give you. They cannot give that cash to you
Yes.
because they have created the fiat cash in their efforts to create a cashless society.
Yeah.
So really, they cannot asset back the money they put out again. So it's toxic paper if you wish to go to the non-asset backed paper. And it was comical to watch, you know, like RBC Bank out here in Vancouver, and a lot of banks, though, you know, globally and in the U.S., they knew this was coming, and in efforts to try to accumulate as much asset as they could to back the paper they had put out, you know, one of the biggest prizes is foreclosing on houses and properties, and also using their fictitious money they were creating to buy as much houses as they could. And here in the Vancouver area, you know, this was one of the prime places for it. They worked in collusion to create a huge inflation bubble for properties. For example, you know, a little rundown shack on a 1 acre property that would be, you know, perhaps a homeless person would live in, but they would say, oh, that's prime real estate, you know, that's worth $1 million now because the market dictates it. So the banks, in collusion with real estate and all of this, you know, they made this huge bubble out of it to also increase the bank's net worth with assets back. But they can't. The thing is, they have created too much fiat money that they cannot asset back it. And even the gold in the world does not, even many hundreds of years ago, and perhaps back thousands of years ago, even the gold and the precious metals in the world could not back the currency that was created. Even the paper money is not there to do it. The paper money, right at this point, I believe it's probably less than 1% of the actual amount of money that was created. The rest of it is created digitally, which really means it does not exist. When you can take down the internet in the blink of an eye, as an example, it can't be done now, but I'm trying to make my point. If you were to do that, you take all money out of existence right then. The only money that is anything at all would be the paper money again. So you can see how quickly that the society could be worth nothing, because once you take down the internet where, you know, everything was stored and all the transactions done, where
Yeah.
it's all digitally. You take down the internet, you take down the ATMs, everything is gone. And the only thing then that you have as an exchange method is the barter method, or if you have the actual physical cash money, it may still be accepted, by some places in event of that. But the thing is, again, get back to the point, and there is bank runs, that part of, the 4D breakthrough. Those are, to my knowledge, beginning to be organized, and a bank run is when you get, at least even two people can start a bank run. They go in and they try to draw out, let's say they got $50,000 each. They go in. What they're going to find out is that you're not allowed to draw that much out, even though
Yeah.
it's your money. No, you've got to wait. And why that happens is because they don't have the cash to back it. And really, what they do is, you might want to go in and haul out 50 grand. No, they say, we'll give you 10 grand today.
Yeah.
We'll give you 10 grand two weeks time, or
Mhm.
whatever. But it's showing you that no, they will not give you that money right now. So you can imagine the chaos that it would cause, like it did in Greece and Sicily and Italy, I believe, as well. When they had these bank runs, there was people, that had money, but when the when their cards and nothing would work, that they had no way of getting their money out of the banks, because the banks had shut their doors, right in front of their faces as well. And the government did this, with new banks, and it's quite a story. But sorry, I got off on a tangent again.
No, that was good. We still should do a show on that for sure. There's
Oh my, that would be, yeah, there'd be so many on that. But,
yeah.
these sort of things I'm speaking about, this is also, what we're trying to get out of. A lot of this happened in the past
Yes.
to set the stage for getting out of here. And, it's best that we keep, everyone aligned with thinking about this new and creating the new,
Yes.
instead of keeping thought energy down into the negative old system that didn't work. Like, observe it and know that there's still others in the old system that are assisting with its implosion. But let's keep our prospects up here and energizing and empowering the good things we want, is what I suggest.
Yes, keep your focus on the good stuff, not all this other stuff of the governments and all that. I agree. Okay, so we have a question from, I know I'm going to botch up your name, sorry. Michelin? Well, when I unmute you, you can correct me. What is your observation on CBD oil? She noticed that it's becoming extremely mainstream, especially now on the ascension due to the symptoms many are getting, an escape for a lot of people that suppress their emotions and physical issues. Let's see. Also for health reasons. I know it's extremely beneficial for some health issues. I feel that also for some starting to awake are making them more open and vulnerable to energies that they are not aware of yet. We've talked about that. Okay. So CBD oil, what's your thoughts on that, Rick? And Micheline, please correct me on your name, and you are unmuted.
Hi, Rick. It's
Okay.
Michelini. It's okay. No worries.
Micheline,
No,
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Michelin. My thoughts are on that again. We have to go to the individual basis, because there are some that, yes, have been taking it, but because of their certain stage in their divine process, that they also got to stop taking it. But also, once they advance enough with having control over their body, they no longer need these pain suppressants, because they're more efficient at doing it without any pain suppressant. But having said that, there is also an individual basis with this, as you said, Michelin, and thank you, that for some, for the level they're at. It is assisting them, let's say, keeping them out of a state of pain so that they work on, in the meantime, on more of their awareness and knowledge. So it is working in conjunction with each other. But what I wish to say, perhaps a way out there, or maybe not a way out there, we will not be smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol or marijuana or any of that, because we will not need it for pain. We will not need it for pacification. We will not need it for enjoyment, because we are creating our own natural highs, which is exclusive of pain as well. Once you learn how to master negativity, then pain is negativity. So once you master negativity and fear, that is where pain comes from. Well, then you have the ability to not have any of that and take it out of your physical body. So we're not at that. A lot of us are not at that point yet, but that's where we're going. And
Yay.
you will also know that many have been trying this out, if they get sick or if they got a pain, to use their mind to quell and diminish that pain. And they find, that it works. And there's some that can get cut and, perhaps a bad cut, no pain. That's because that part of their divine gifts is working, that they don't need to take anything like CBD oil or have the THC as well, those sort of things in it. But again, it's really it's really not one answer on it, because it's individualized again. And with this whole ascension, I always go there with that I suggest and I give out the information. It's your resonation to tell you that if it is part of your guidance or not. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm sorry for asking the question again. I didn't know you have addressed that before. I haven't heard. As I work with lots of people now, especially as a healer, I am a very highly I believe that a lot of emotional issues are you can heal yourself, right? Or you can be guided in a way that you can help heal the other person. So I see that it's becoming such mainstream oil now that is being sold everywhere. So I am aware that there's a lot of benefits, but I know as well that there is many ways that the plant can be used that will harm the body, right? And as many people use alcohol as a way to get out of stress, when you should be addressing why you're getting stressed at first, is the same what is being used for CBD oil. But I thank you for your answer anyway. I see that it's in a personal basis. I would just want to know from my intake, and what might I feel as well from a lot of people, is that when you enter in certain, I would not say drugs, but marijuana or CBD oil for certain reasons that are not in the more health benefits, you can, if you're not aware of how open your energy field you are, how can you control that? You also open it to other negative energy, right? You can be collecting that to yourself. That's what I feel, and I've been getting from a lot of my clients, so I'm just curious to know what he will say. But thank you anyway, Rick, for all you do, and Linda,
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelin. Before I answer that, Linda Garnet just texted me to let me know that that my words is not being translated. Did something happen to one of your microphones there?
No, I think they may be working on it. I've noticed that it's kind of stopped off and on. It'll pick it back up. So I'm feeling, my thoughts were, because now it's picking back up again. I think they might be working on it. I don't know, but no, the microphones are all on.
Okay.
Yeah, it is sort of stopping. Sorry, Micheline.
No, I'm so sorry. Oh, thank you again.
No, don't
I
be
appreciate it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Okay, so it worked for you for a little bit. Yeah, okay, they could be working on it yet. Uh, yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
Also, Michelin.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry, Michelin. Could you just rehash? You touched on. Oh, there was an important aspect I was going to reply to. Could you just touch on that again, please?
In regards to the energy side, or like when you
Yeah.
are in certain influence, like I know when people are under alcohol, sometimes when you are getting wasted, you are not in control of your body, you're open to other energies or spirits to come and take over, from my understanding. So what I feel in certain people, there are starting to open and awaken now and not aware of their energy fields, or not aware of what's going on around them and where they are using this type of their smoking, or they are using it. Can be sometimes at home, but depending on their state of mind, how negative they are, normally that's how they are looking for the CBD oil to help with depression, you know, or symptoms that they are feeling now, especially with the ascension. So I feel that they get more vulnerable in their energy field. They are open to more other types of energies to come in.
Now, yes, I would agree with that to a certain extent as well. And again, it depends on the development of the individual. As we said with alcohol, like just if you're an empath and trying to control things, if you're drinking, yeah, just yeah, we know what that does. But with the marijuana, it was beneficial and still is to certain ones. But once you reach that important level, Michelin, when you say more of their empathic abilities is being activated, you need to be more astute and aware of what is actually occurring. You need to know that. Yeah, and what you don't wish is to have you know, a total marijuana high that's just got you floating. No, you know, it's okay to have, let's say, in a place just enough to put you in that pacified area so that you can actually have all your sensations. But again, you know, there is that limit to how much that you should have or how much you may need. Because again, as you become stronger and enhanced, you're going to find you need lesser and lesser. If it was taking pain away, you're also going to find that you don't need it to lift you out of the mundaneness, because you are activating your angelic gifts. And this is creating a much more magical world than what the marijuana kind of assisted with before. So yeah, you do transition out of that. And there is that stage, you know, that is very important in recognizing that, because again, there is that influence of the mind, what can attract the negativity too. But on the flip side of that, you know, with most that I have known in the past with their marijuana usage, it put them in a great place. But, you know, and again, prior to 2012, that was great. But since 2012, you know, many of these things that enhanced you and assist you, it has changed. And we had, you know, we are at levels now where many are surpassing the need or even the want for them, because they understand the value of, you know, their divine magic now that they can access, that they didn't have that before. And they also understand the importance of developing their self that was not there before to this degree. So, you know, again, now they have more choices, if that answers what you were asking.
No, thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. It was more, I've been seeing that it's becoming very mainstream, especially now with people. And some people there are depressed because of the energy coming in, or a lot of being confused. And, you know, when you come to do a guidance or a session and I've been reading their energy and they tell me, yes, I've been taking CBD oil, I've been taking this, been taking that to help with my pain, with my depression, you know, and I think that it's great to go for the plant that is natural, but at the same time, I just get a little worried of the escapism of the use of the CBD oil becoming so mainstream, coming from so many different sources that people don't know, because you can get in any pharmacy or gas station sometimes, you know. So it's just something that for me as a healer, yes, I believe in plants. I think marijuana does raise the vibration. In certain degree, if the person is aware of what's going on, or like you said, is already open their empathic abilities, but for people that are starting and don't have their gifts open, or perhaps like people that I've been dealing with that are like young people, 26, 27, they're opening their abilities now. They are seeing lots of things. They can read the aura already, but they have no idea what's going on. They're getting fearful from what they're seeing, you know, and they are using certain drugs, or even going for that escapist because, I'm just feeling like this, so I'm just using certain drugs for that. I feel that it's not the path for it. But again, I'm not judging the plant or anybody that takes it. It's just my intake as a healer. And I just wanted to ask you about the CBD to get to the point of the energy, if it does affect like I was feeling, opening the field for other energies to come in, being more vulnerable. That's what I wanted to confirm that. And I really thank you for that. Okay. And sorry for my accent.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Yes, I agree with that, Michelin. Yes, it does open it up if they're don't know what they're doing. And also you brought up another important thing I should include here. You know, for anyone utilizing marijuana or any of the products, to try to assure it's as organic or from a known, trusted source. You know, as you're saying, Michelin, in some of the dispensaries and things, there are certain government regulations that are implemented during the growing process that actually enters chemicals into that process, which again are not compatible with the ascension process. So again, I suggest for all viewers that are using it to at least try to assure that it's as natural and organic as possible. And in relation to this, you know, to back up again why, even though this is a drug story, I mean, I just saw up here in BC a headline where 20 overdoses just in one day was occurred because of the coke usage. It was laced again with the fentanyl. Now, the thing is, you know, the drug user just thinks they're getting coke, but then it's combined deliberately, you know, with something else. So, you know, whoever the supplier is, you know, again, I suggest to know who the supplier is the main point here. And by no way do I condone, you know, fentanyl or
yeah, I don't too. That's just to ask you very quick. Do you believe that opening the CBD oil so mainstream as it is right now, becoming so popular everywhere, is it possible that it can be also a tool to manipulate people? Or, you know, since that every single person is looking for that, and since that you are not taking the, let's say, okay, I'm out of the anxiety pill, but I am on CBD oil now. Okay, and then you're being referred by so many doctors, which is great, is a much better alternative. But is this a way of like replacing my medicine for depression instead of curing my depression, but a way also for being all these people that are starting to awake, or maybe not even in that process yet, using this mainstream oil and being manipulated by, I would say, not only government, but other energies that are always there manipulating people.
Well, you know, the way I look at this, Michelin, is that it's part of our transitory stage as well. But again, you know, the higher you get up, you don't need this. If it's assisting with, let's say, depression, well, you know, you continuously take it, but you're not to the root of the problem. And this is the same with, you know, any doctors or any prescribed medications in the past. You know, you can suppress symptoms, but they're always there until you get to the root of the problem. And real, you know, in the past with depression, the way that some doctors would try to get there is through psychology. But again, they are ineffective because their methods with orthodox medicine only goes as far as what there's pretty well taught and instructed to look at, and it eliminates, you know, the most important part is the energetic fields of one, the energy, which actually the polarity of the energy is what creates it, and the acidic pH, or the pH level of the physical vessel. But anyhow, I was trying to jam a couple other things in there.
No,
But
thank you
again,
so
you know,
much.
each
Thank
one,
you. Yes.
yeah,
Thank you so much,
but
Rick,
each
for
one,
that. And I'm sorry to take so much time on the question again. Right. You guys have a good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Micheline.
oh,
Thank
it's
you.
great. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Michelin.
Next question, Cole. I would assume everyone would go through eventually financial ruin. How else can you experience wealth if you don't know what nothing really is? Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. But Cole, you know, to accommodate this time with the ascension, what I am seeing is that there are some that are there that did not have to go through a lot of the monetary rock bottom thing. And there are reasons, because we are all connected with this, and you have ones that are assigned different tasks. So you might have had ones that went down to the bottom, lost everything, had to experience that. But on our upward spiral here, on the other side, you have very good angels that are financially secure to assist also with this ascension. So each group, if you wish to look at that as angels, you might have one group that went way down here, had to get into the dirty and, you know, end up perhaps on the street. But you also had some other angels that are a support group that were divinely secured and assured to be here for these times to assist and facilitate the overall ascension. So not every angel and good person was pushed down that low, that there are some wealthy angels out there that are good, and let's say they are ready for these times to assist, to facilitate everything forward with temporarily if money is needed to do that, but also, you know, excluding these divine wealthy ones, excluding them. They're there, and they are part of us, and for a very important reason. But also you have a thing down here that these ones are also learning how important it is to give and receive as well. Yeah. So you have ones, you know, that might only have $10, and if someone really needs it, says, here, take that. And you know, and that's where the trust. So there are so many lessons being learned, but the monetary thing is still a part of this, but it is teaching many questions or teaching many lessons. Sorry.
Cole, you're unmuted if you have any questions to that.
No. I mean, my take, I didn't even mean to make it a question. My take was
Oh.
just, I definitely feel like as far as wealth goes, there's a lot of people who are awesome and they're good overall, and it doesn't affect them negatively that they have so much affluence. But I don't think anyone really can what's the right word? Appreciate it until you don't have it.
And that is true, yes, and it's because certain ones needed to be subjected to that to let go of the materialism as well, because they were conditioned to a degree and distracted by the materialism. And, as part of their soul contract, in conjunction with the overall divine plan to allow those experiences to occur so they could learn so much about it as well. But yeah, for money and material things don't matter, and I know we don't need it in the near futures, but I also know that it's about trusting in God and divinity, and eradicating the doubt that you need to try to control if you have money as well. So there's all kinds of cool things happening with that on different levels. But
Glad you summed it up that way, because I didn't even want it to be focused on it shouldn't be focused on the material, the money aspect. Just in general, wealth, as you said, there's other aspects to it too, like trust and learning faith and all that.
Yeah.
There's so much involved with it, Cole, and you will see the quick transitions in the future if needed, by these ones. For example, a very powerful divine comrade. I put a post out. She needed assistance, and she asked it out, and I shared it, and I made it pretty clear. I don't know what transpired, but I put the post out, and I said, one of you that are financially secured, could you assist her without wanting or expecting something in return? And and I just let it go, and I don't know what occurred, but I know something did, because in tight spots, it's not only about assisting that one, it's about the energetic transaction, which becomes important, and also shows that there is divinity happening here. Okay, there's someone watching. Okay, I might be feeling her. I almost burst out into tears here because I'm connected to her as well. She might be on there because we feel the energies. But, it's out of our compassion and sharing and helping everyone. And, this is part of the idea with the Angels page we're still constructing, is to make that full, solid community as well that we may need temporarily. Ideally, I want to get right out of it and let's get the RV going and everything, enough of the BS. But also, my tasks are to assist whoever I'm assigned, and they are from all levels. They are ones that are not awakened up to ones that are just so very powerful, and I love that. And but having said that, the more we come together, the more everyone is uplifted, taken care of, and the more they raise in their development. But every transaction, from, let's say, a person in need to one that has enough, is also so important, because not only is it on the material level funding and assisting, but more importantly, it's the energetics that's involved with it, and that support that is coming into conjunction with divinity. So actually what you are seeing is the negative fear aspects of the control of money is also being actually broken, which then is divinely supported with that. I'll stop there. I got going along.
Thanks,
That's
Cole.
Cole.
I couldn't unmute you. It's not working. Sorry about that. Okay. We're going to go on to the next question. Cynthia, if one has health issues while ascending, what can be done or what will happen?
Okay, with your health issues while you're ascending, again, follow the signs that you are given. You might be just go in to meet with a friend and they may say, you know, that I started eating this good thing, you know, and I looked online and it's good. That might be a cue for you, you know, to start eating these different things as well. What was the question again, Linda? Sorry, what's it about?
If one has health issues while ascending, what can be done or what or will happen? If they have
Well,
health
again,
issues.
it's mainly about your diet and what will happen if you don't transition and follow the signs you're given. You will become very sick very quickly, that if you need to, so that you do pay attention, if you need to change the diet of that physical vessel to put you up where you need to go. So there is a catch with this, that you are responsible to at least some degree taking care of your physical vessel so that it can transcend, you know, different timelines in dimensions. And if you're showing something divinely, and when I say if you're showing something divinely, it may come up in a discussion. You know, someone said, oh, I had a headache, but I took something natural
Right.
and took it away. You know, for example, pay attention to the signs in your surrounding. And also, you know, once you more so trust and believe in that, you're going to get more signs that's going to assist you in transitioning your diet to help with your health. But also at the same time, where you're on here, you are most likely learning about energetic ways as well to eliminate pain and you know, discomfort in your body. So pay attention, you know, to all of the signs you are given, and it expedites the body to better health. But if you're experiencing something like, you know, you're just drained like a flu or something one day and good the next, well, you know right off that that is an ascension symptom, like that you're transmuting negative energy or what have you. So you just follow what you're showing or what you're given, you know, at that time to discern if it is something you're putting in your body or if it is just an ascension symptom. But for all intents and purposes, anyone watching this, any discomfort you have can be labeled as an ascension symptom because it has to occur during your ascension. If you've got pain from eating something, well, it tells you don't eat that. You know, keep it as simple as you can, but be very prudent and aware in discerning what are signs for you.
Yes.
To assist you with it.
Perfect. Thank you, Cynthia, for that. She wasn't on our queue participant. So next question is from Linda. What is the difference between pain and ascension symptoms? Our bodies are becoming crystalline. I'll unmute you, Linda.
Yeah. Hi, Linda.
Oh, hi, I'm here.
Hey, girl, great. Yeah, and Linda was at our gathering we had in Vancouver. We had such a great time. Yeah. Okay. Sorry again. I do this. And what was the main question again, Linda? Please.
I think you just finished answering it before Linda read it.
Yeah.
Difference
okay.
between pain and ascension symptoms, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between-
What I can add, during the ascension as well, a couple of these symptoms within the women, irregular bleeding. With anyone, you can have blood coming from different areas of your body. With males or female, it doesn't matter. And, you could have acne or whatever. That's a prime example of, showing how toxic your body is. And at certain levels, when you're beginning to go through your ascension, it will push the toxics out. Because also your soul, when you began to do the ascension, at first you were kind of oblivious that your whole body was changing. But during this process, to at least some level, it's happening automatically. And, one of the results is, bleeding and these sort of things. And you'll come to find out later, you could have blood coming out of every orifice and pores in your body. And you come to find out you're perfectly excellent, because what is happening, when there's certain parts of the processes with the DNA, the restranding and resequencing, that, there is parts of that when you're being rewired that is also eliminated from the body. And these are some of the processes, that it's eliminated through. And that's why also, you have the blood. And again, with females, they are so powerful and quick at doing that. During that transition, they can, more quickly keep it flushed out for them. And I, as a male, when I went through it, and that's what I'm saying, I was a male, but I had blood coming out of every part of this physical vessel. Yeah.
Wow.
With nothing wrong. But I mean, the first signs of that, orthodox medicine said, "Oh, you're bad sick," but you go and take all the tests. Oh, your tests come back amazing. So, it's because it's ascension related. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not experienced any of the bleeding stuff. I'm 59. I don't know if age has a factor in that, but I really think I must be growing in some big wings.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah. There is unique, with everyone as well. And I shared my process, and I know that some, have many of those experiences. Some need it and some don't. It depends on what you did to your physical vessels as well. And it depends on what elevator you're getting off on, how much you got to ascend your vessel to. What floor. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome, Linda. Talk soon. Have a great night.
And Linda, yes, there will be a replay. I saw your question.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's still being recorded, so we'll have it up there.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Much love.
You're
Love
welcome.
you.
Love you.
Okay, so I don't see any more questions. Well, there's a private one, but I can't get to it. Unless it is a question. No, I think I must be going to the top. No,
What was it?
no, it was just somebody else. No, I think that's it. I don't think there's any more. I don't think there's any more questions. There's one at the bottom, but I can't see it. It doesn't. My scroll doesn't go down anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking. I see that. Yeah. With our translation thing, I see I'm gone again, but we got to wait. For them to get that geared up better. But Linda, this worked out very good. We're able to, I love that feature where we could, you open the mic and have those short little conversations. That was great too.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for some great, great questions, and yeah. And as always, Rick, Well, before we even close the show, is there any last words that you want to say, or do you have anything that you want to add to tonight?
Let's say, well, we know we got many shows coming up, and that Divine Gifts is a very important one. And we may touch on, Linda, you said maybe that Target. So we got shows coming up, and you have some more interviews with some other very highly enlightened ones as well coming up besides I, Linda. So that's going to be amazing.
Yes, Janelle and hopefully Sharon. Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to sit back if I get the time to watch, a bit of that interview. That'd be great for me, right?
Yeah.
So we get that coming up, in our system. We're getting the kinks out of it. This is beautiful, and get it more refined. But, no, overall in the closing, the game is on. Each one of you know it. And, just keep doing the best you can do in alignment with, the ascension and empowering yourself to your utmost degree. So yeah, I'm pretty good with that. I believe we got everything out Ed wrote on the paper anyhow.
All right. Well, thank you, Rick, so much for what you do, being here to assist us, delivering this information that's really important because, as we talked before, that's really what the show is all about, is being able to provide this information so people are aware of, that of what's happening in the world so they can get prepared and we can focus on what we really need to focus on to ascend. So that's what's important. So thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Linda. But I also, what I wish to share right now is that, yes, I am here to assist, but what I also wish to share is that, I'm connected with many, that they also assist me in assisting you, through all these reports. Like, for example, Sharon contacted me today and she even got her post out about it, hey, this divine gift come. And, we are all a team all together contributing to this. And, as you mentioned earlier in the show, Linda, about someone with a question, no question is stupid. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always important with this. So we are all a big team and, to support and build each other up. And, I will speak my truth. I've been downloaded with so much information, but also what I wish to say, as you see, I don't know it all here. And we work as a group, though, so that between us, we'll know it all between us all.
Yeah, that's so true.
Great.
Yeah.
We're a community.
Yeah, absolutely. We are totally a community, and we're all here together to help each other. Yes. So I don't know. I could answer. Cole had just. Yeah, Cole. I'm the interviewer. Rick is the interviewee, but as he just said, we're really all in this together, and we're just doing this all together. So it really, we're all in this together. And so I just love interviewing people who have information and just to bring this information out to you guys. And so, yeah, we're just one big happy family. Yeah. Totally.
We are. We're all divine comrades. We're all in this together, and more joining the party every day. And the quicker we share things, the quicker we get out of here as well and make the change. And that's what it's about too.
Yeah.
So we all assist with that. And I was speaking with Nancy last night, a very powerful divine comrade as well, and she said, we all have pieces of the puzzle. And again, and she found out again yesterday, it always holds true. You get two or more together, you start getting more pieces, you connect the dots, and You know, it gets fun, but it's not illusionary fun. It's real. You know, things really happen, and gifts get heightened, and it takes us in, you know, to the higher divine dynamics, and that's also what this is about. So yeah, I love this. Yeah, it's great.
And staying connected to you know, the higher beings really is important. Connecting to the Real Angels pages, or there's other pages too that people have started. So really staying connected to that, so you can keep your vibration high. Because the more we focus on the higher vibration of things, you know, whether the quantum financial system, the reset, the RVs, and all that, the more that we can push that forward. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So
Indeed.
awesome. Well, Rick, thanks so much. And I will probably do another show tomorrow night. So we don't know what that's going to be. Well, I have some things written down, so Rick and I will talk about that. But just be on the lookout for the next shows coming up, and this will be recorded. It'll probably be up tomorrow because I don't know how long this is going to take to convert. But yeah, so awesome. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. So I love you, love all of the viewers, love and light, winks, kisses, peace. And I'm going to go to the washroom. And thank you all, and have a beautiful evening.
Thank you, Rick.
Hey, bye.
Bye. And thank you, everybody who joined the show and everybody who will be watching afterwards. We really appreciate it. We love you for all your love and support. And thank you, Janelle. Yes, I feel much better. You sent that healing last night, and so, well, everybody did, but I know that we were chatting, so thank you for that. And yeah, so just look for the show that's going to be tomorrow. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but it will be with Rick, and Janelle will be on Monday. And so looking forward to that, so you guys can watch for that. But love all of you, and we will see you later. Bye.